This looks like a bargain, and it is until you make a big mistake, and I don't want you to do that. This is the M4 Mac Mini, and as I've said about 1,000 times on this channel, I think it's the best thing that Apple has ever done, bar nothing. If you don't agree with that, get involved in the comments, but for the purpose of this video, just bear with me. The problem is that you just get that, nothing else. You don't get a mouse, you don't get a keyboard, you don't get a monitor, a webcam, zero. Just this and a power cable, which means you have two options. Either spend way too much building up a setup around this and rue the day you ever got into the Mac Mini game, or be sensible and build a lovely setup that doesn't cost a fortune. In this video, I'm going to reveal the total, in fact you may know the total cost because it's probably in the video title, but I will reveal what that is made up of over there, my setup, which is insane, to be honest. Then I'll explain how you can avoid spending way too much money and just build the perfect Mac Mini setup. And I'll finish this video by explaining why I went for the M4 Pro version rather than the base model M4 Mac Mini, which I still think is the best option for most people. But I have a very specific reason why I went for this one. Exciting. Okay, the starting point for your Mac Mini setup is the Mac Mini itself, obviously, and you have two options here. I will be quoting in UK pricing, but we'll put the US pricing down below. Firstly, you have the base model M4 Mac Mini, which starts at $599, which is still the cheapest Mac you can buy, which tells its own story. Or you go for the M4 Pro version, which starts at $1,399. So there's quite a big difference between the two, and that does beg the question, which one is for you? So for me, personally, I think the M4 base model Mac Mini is for most people. It starts with 16 gig of unified memory. The 8 gig thing is a thing of the past now, thankfully. The only thing I'd recommend doing really is upping the internal storage. So take it from 256 gig to 512. But even then you can just add additional storage by plugging stuff into the back of it. You know, get a nice SSD and stick it into the back of your Mac Mini and you've got more storage, and you can keep doing that as well. So it's for most people. And I've always said, if you know you need the M4 Pro chip because of the additional cores and the more memory you can add to that one, you know that's the case. You know, you're getting it for a very specific reason, be it a hobby that you're into or it's your business, and that work you'll be doing on that Mac Mini is tied to money coming into your bank account, and because of that you need as much power as possible. I can't tell you if that's you, you know that, I think. So for most people, the base model M4 Mac Mini is utterly superb value. However, as the point of this video kind of states, you need to add stuff to it, and this is where it can go horribly wrong. So let's just get into what I've done over there. Okay, so I did make some notes on this because I couldn't quite believe how much that setup costs in total, so excuse me for reading from this. But the Mac Mini itself has the M4 Pro chip in it, but I spec'd it up to the most expensive one. So it has a 14-core CPU and a 20-core GPU. I then added 64 gig of unified memory and a 2 terabyte SSD, which took it to £2,799. I've then got two docks attached to it because I'm weird. Well, I do this stuff for a living, and I have made a video about Mac Mini docks, which we will link to above if you want to go and check that out. These are both Ugreen docks. One of them is the RevoDock Max. That's 150 quid. The other one is just a regular dock that you place your Mac Mini on top of, and it solves quite a few problems, including additional ports, but also it enables you to get to that power button much quicker. That's 90 quid. I wouldn't get both at all, and actually there's an even better one, which I think is the Satechi, which is my personal favorite. I live a strange life. I do keep changing things in that setup. Ignore the fact I have two docks. I then have the beautiful Asus, I never know how to pronounce that company's name, ProArt display. This is a 6K monitor. At the time of filming, you can't seem to buy it in the UK. I'm not sure why. I'm waiting to hear back from them on this in terms of what's going on, but it is available. It's not under embargo anymore, so I can talk about it, but it's a 6K Retina style monitor, which means it's bigger than the studio display and just as sharp, and it's just a lovely, lovely thing. However, it does cost $1,400. I'm waiting for the UK pricing, like I say. I then have the Apple Magic keyboard, which is 99 quid. Then we have the Logitech MX Master 4. That's £120 and utterly brilliant, by the way. Then in terms of the webcam, I've got the Obspot Tiny 2 Lite, which is £149. I then have some Kef LX2 speakers, which are just utterly lovely. If you've not heard Kef stuff before, you're missing out. They're just beautiful. But they do cost about 1,200 quid. The total cost is therefore about £6,000. So I went from a Mac Mini that was relatively expensive, 2,800 quid, to 6 grand by adding all that stuff. Now that is a daft setup, and one thing I would change immediately, and have changed very recently, is the keyboard. Which brings me conveniently to this week's sponsor, Lofree. Let's face it, Apple's Magic Keyboard isn't fantastic. It's just a bit, well, it's expensive and it doesn't give you all the features you can get from a proper mechanical keyboard, which is why I've just switched to the Lofree Flow 2. Ooh. You can choose between 3 sizes, and all of them are made from a single block of aluminium, which means they feel very solid on your desk, but they still have this lightweight, minimal finish that's very good at resisting fingerprint marks. The typing experience is a huge deal on any keyboard, and the Flow 2 offers different key switch options depending on how you like your keyboard to feel and sound. For instance, if you want smooth and quiet, go for the void option, or if you prefer a bit more feedback with your typing, go for the pulse option. The keycaps have been redesigned since the last model for a comfortable profile and a longer lasting resistance to that very annoying shiny thing that you get on Mac keys. And the keys themselves now have 40 grams of actuation force, which to me and you means that they feel nicely balanced and very responsive. There's also a nifty touch sensitive bar on the side to adjust volume or screen brightness with a simple swipe, support for full key customization, and a new 2.4 GHz wireless mode that's faster and more reliable. The Lofree Flow 2 is well built, it's lovely to type on, it's no frills, and it makes it a fantastic option to check out if you're upgrading your Mac Mini setup or you're buying a Mac Mini for the first time. Don't get the Apple Magic Keyboard, get something like this. The link is down below. So, how do you prevent yourself from spending an absolute fortune on your Mac Mini setup? Well, firstly, don't do that. Don't buy all of that stuff that I've just shown you on that desk, because it's silly. It really is silly. You might want the monitor, you might want the speakers, you might want the mouse, but you don't need all of that stuff collectively, unless you're willing to remortgage your house to get it. Instead, I've got some recommendations to help you save some money, and we'll put links to everything you've seen in this video down in the description. Firstly, the monitor. You don't need to get a Retina monitor for your Mac Mini unless you really want one. And if you do, you don't have a huge amount of choice. You have the Apple Studio Display, which is expensive. You have the Asus 6K monitor over there, which is expensive. There is a 5K version of that, which is a bit cheaper than the Apple Studio Display, but these are expensive monitors. Instead, I would spend 300-400 quid on, for instance, a BenQ monitor. I always recommend BenQ. They are just brilliant monitors, and they will save you a packet and still give you what you need. The webcam. If you get a monitor with a webcam built in, fine. If you don't, just use your iPhone. I'm guessing you've got an iPhone, which is perhaps unfair, but just use continuity on your iPhone. You don't have to do anything really. It's so simple. It just wakes up when you want to connect it to your Mac and uses the camera, the main camera on this as your webcam, so it looks very good, and it doesn't cost you anything because you've got the iPhone and the Mac already. Audio. Yes, those Kef speakers are lovely, but just get a pair of AirPods. Get AirPods Pro, get AirPods 4, just get a pair of AirPods and use those as your main audio source, because they sound fantastic. They've got noise cancelling if you go for the noise cancelling version, and you can use them for taking calls and doing all that stuff. It's just so convenient, and they'll switch between your iPhone, your Mac, your Apple TV, everything. You may not need one of those docks, so don't assume that you do. It's for people who want an SD card slot, who need USB-A ports, for instance, and who just need more ports than the Mac Mini gives them. If that's not you, then, well, you've saved some money. The mouse, just get the MX Master. The MX Master 4, which is sitting over there, is the new one. It's utterly brilliant. It's got this built-in haptic thing and a few more fancy features. It is about £120, as in 120 UK pounds. So it's not cheap, but it will last you an awfully long time, and it will make a difference to your productivity, I promise. And you can probably get a really good deal on the MX Master 3 now that we have the MX Master 4. That'll be your setup pretty much done, well, completely done, and you will not have spent 6,000 UK pounds or dollars. And now to reveal why I did spend a lot of money on this. You may have spotted this on the footage of that desk today, and the reason I've not mentioned it until now is because it's quite a niche accessory for your Mac Mini setup. The reason it's on that desk is because it kind of reveals why I've spent so much money on this. I I think. I bought the M4 Pro Mac Mini and spent nearly 2,800 quid on it because it's going to form the basis of a brand new music studio that I am going to build. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I've said that several times and done nothing about it. Now I'm serious. We're doing this. We're going to create a proper music studio and feature it a little bit on this channel, but also on its own channel, its own kind of content thing. If you're interested in that, by the way, get involved in the comments, let me know, give me some reason to be doing this. And also follow me on Instagram, Mark Ellis Reviews, and you can see the progress of that studio build over the next few months. It's very exciting, but that's the reason I spec'd this up and spent lots of money on it, because I'm intending on keeping this for a long time and really putting it to use in music production. I can't wait. Now it's over to you. I want to hear about your M4 Mac Mini setup. What have you got? What have you spent money on? What have I missed out today that you think is essential for a brilliant M4 Mac Mini setup? Get involved down below, and if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that button, hit the like button, get involved in the comments, etc., etc. I'll see you down there.